All right, everybody. Green Bay Packers just got a double dose of good news that we're going to talk about in this video. I haven't asked for subs in quite some time, but if you like the content on this channel, please like and subscribe. Pass it on to somebody that you know may enjoy this channel. Okay, so let's get into it. What's the double dose of good news that the Green Bay Packers received? Well, happens to pertain to an ex-Packer. So Jaire Alexander, he dominated the offseason talks this past year, and what were the Green Bay Packers going to do with Jaire? How were they going to address his contract situation? Were they going to try to restructure something, maybe put in some incentives, all of that? Or were the Green Bay Packers going to try to trade him prior to the NFL draft? And then the NFL draft comes and the Packers don't address a cornerback position until the seventh round. And everybody was left wondering, okay, what is Brian Gute doing? What are the Green Bay Packers doing? What are they going to do with Jaire Alexander? All of this stuff. And then Brian Gutekunst goes out and makes a splash. He offloads Jaire Alexander, saves the Packers a bunch of money. Now the Green Bay Packers are sitting in a situation financially where they could restructure some deals that they did, and Zach Tom was maybe a beneficiary of that. But now Jaire Alexander and the Baltimore Ravens, here they sit. Okay, so the Baltimore Ravens new Jaire Alexander update is extremely concerning, man. Okay, so I was in the boat. Now I'm going to go off and say that I was in the boat of I wanted the Packers to keep Jaire Alexander if they were able to restructure a deal, because if this dude is healthy, massive if he stays healthy, he's one of the best corners in the league. You can absolutely make that argument that he's a top 3 corner in the league. He certainly has the swagger. He certainly has the belief in himself, which I love. I love the confidence. You need that in a cornerback that's going to easily forget if he gets burned on a play. He's going to bounce back and try to make up for that because he thinks he's that good. Okay, so Jaire Alexander, I was a little bummed when they got rid of him, but in the same sense, a little excited too. Okay, so here's the latest update on Jaire Alexander. It says right here, when healthy, Alexander is one of the best corners in the league in the NFL, right? And some would argue that he's even the best. However, there are legitimate questions on whether or not he can get back to being that player because of health concerns. And there's been multiple health concerns over Jaire Alexander. Okay, so despite the questions, the Ravens decided to take the risk on Alexander, which that's a Baltimore Raven type move. And it was a great move because they always have a great defense. And why not roll the dice? Why not play on Vegas odds and get Jaire Alexander in there, because he can be a complete difference maker on defense. Okay, so whether or not that will pay off remains to be seen. Okay, so NFL Insider hints that okay, so here reading more, here's where I wanted to get to. It says right here, Jaire Alexander has been missing practice time lately. A new update shared by head coach John Harbaugh revealed that the issues Jaire has been dealing with is something that he's been dealing with for a few years, which means it's the lingering issues, still the same thing, still the same noise when it comes to Jaire Alexander. And the same nagging injuries caused Jaire Alexander to miss much time in Green Bay. The Ravens might be in trouble. The Ravens might be in trouble. Thankfully, Brian Gutekunst. Okay, so here's the thing. Brian Gutekunst, say what you want about this GM. I think Brian Gutekunst is one of the better GMs in the league. He has great vision of offloading players before it gets too rough. Okay, so I'm not saying that the Packers, when it comes to Davante Adams, they needed to offload him when they did, but man, when you look at Davante Adams and his career post Green Bay, he had some success, one successful year with the Raiders, but after that, it's kind of been a relatively decline since he's left Green Bay. You look at Aaron Rodgers, the same thing, and the Green Bay Packers were able to get some draft capital in return for Aaron Rodgers, all of that stuff. But Brian Gutekunst offloads Jaire Alexander rather than paying him the money. And now the Green Bay Packers are sitting in a situation financially where they can go and make a trade. They can offload some talent. So Ian Rappaport, we're going to switch gears here. Ian Rappaport predicts that the Green Bay Packers as a perfect trade destination for Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons still in the Dallas Cowboys, still are, where do they sit? And the Green Bay Packers are a complete perfect contender. Okay, so the Green Bay Packers, it says right here, have the money to spend on to give Parsons a new deal. They have the young talent to send back. They have multiple young pieces to send back. Can you imagine Micah Parsons on this Green Bay Packer defense? Now, whether or not Brian Gutekunst does that, now that's not typically his MO. He does cut players before having to give them deals. Leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts there. Okay, so do you think the Green Bay Packers would? Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people. Are you kidding me? The Packers certainly wouldn't, trade for a player like Micah Parsons. Okay, so Green Bay is a title contender team, and they can win now with a move like this, like Micah Parsons going to now. Lucas Van Ness has looked good in camp. So when you start talking and looking at Micah Parsons coming to Green Bay in exchange for maybe Lucas Van Ness and the second round draft pick or whatever it would take to get Micah Parsons in Green Bay, I don't see Brian Gutekunst because potentially now, given the if Dallas Cowboys give ear to the Green Bay Packers to take on Lucas Van Ness and then a second round draft pick, because Lucas Van Ness, say he has a monster year, say he looks really good. The Green Bay Packers are going to be sitting in a situation where they're going to have to pay this dude now. So why not pay the money to a proven edge like Micah Parsons, and rather than a guy that maybe he makes a splash this year in Lucas Van Ness, and we knew it was going to take a bit for him to develop it, and but he's not going to be a Micah Parsons. I can promise you that he is not a Micah Parsons type talent. So you're certainly doing the right thing by taking on talent like Micah Parsons. Now, whether or not Brian Gutekunst is going to do that, I want you guys to leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts there. Will Brian Gutekunst pull the trigger on something like that? I think it absolutely makes sense for the Green Bay Packers in the sense that Lucas Van Ness, again, they're going to have to pay this dude. So Micah Parsons is that guy where you're like, okay, man, this dude, I mean, he's one of the best edges in the league. Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons. These are the two best edges in the league, hands down. So can you imagine Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons? Jeff Hafley would have an absolute heyday. Can you imagine if the Green Bay Packers let go of Jaire Alexander? Now they get more cap space and they can make a move for Micah Parsons. Jaire Alexander, Micah Parsons. It's like a way out that. And the Green Bay Packers are sitting in a great position. Either way, this is a great double dose of good news for the Packers. Leave your comments, and as always, go Pack Go.